Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction? What teams are losing? Franchises ruined. Fans in the stand booing.
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
Ron, we just had week number 13. And before we even get started, let me just say, this podcast is dedicated to the National Football League. We do this on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. If this is something that you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But anyways, back to the Ron. Ron, we just had week 13.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this week?
Good. I feel much better. Steelers are starting to win ball games again. We put 2 in a row together. So it was a great week for the Steelers. Not so much the Patriots, but I'm feeling a little bit more confident in the direction the team's headed in.
Yeah, and when you say week, when I say week 13, it saddens me because now we're going into week.
Mm-hmm.
Just the season, when we hit double figures, you just know the season's coming to an end.
Almost over. Yeah.
But then you get into a different tournament where it gets really exciting.
That's true. If we make it.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So we're going to go over the NFL news. We're going to talk about our reviews from last week. And we're going to talk about our teams. And then we're going to do a quick finale on whether or not the Bucks or the Pats or the Steelers can make the playoffs. So let's kick it off. Mayfield, he wanted off the Panthers. He got off the Panthers. Now he got picked up by the Rams. Are the Rams going anywhere?
Not with Stafford, apparently. Stafford's injuries appears to be pretty serious. He might not be able to play the rest of the season. And the quarterback that is on the Rams right now, I think he just came off of 2 interceptions. So, it's tough to come in on any team and pick up an offense and play like the next week or the next 3 weeks. So it's interesting that he made that move to go and ask for a release. Obviously, he wouldn't have done that unless he knew, I think, he was going to be picked up by someone. So I think that was all pre-planned. But it's just, it's interesting what's going to happen at this point out. Is he going to play or not?
Yeah, because now I was thinking all right, so he didn't want to pay for Carolina. He knew that he was going to play under somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But with the Rams, to me, is a head scratcher because I know that Stafford is not there. And who was Stafford's backup? It was some guy he did horrible.
John Wolford. 14 of 26, 170 yards, 2 interceptions this past week.
Yeah, that's just not going to do it for McVay. So he picked up Baker. I don't think the Rams are really going anywhere. You got Seattle, you got San Francisco. You got some resemblance of a good, decent team with Arizona. I just don't know why make the switch. But, we are talking about Baker Mayfield, so he's an up-and-down person as it is anyway.
Yeah, and I think, I don't think it's, like I said, I don't know if Baker is going to play much this year. There's nothing really to salvage at them being 3-9. It's more about long-term. And I've heard, some news organizations are saying that this, Stafford might hang it up, after this season. So, they got to think long term, who's our quarterback next year and the year after and so on and so forth. So,
yeah, that to me was a head scratcher anyway. Jimmy G. So it turns out that he's not going to need surgery. Looks like he might come back in 8 weeks. San Francisco fans should be happy, right?
Yeah. Because he's been, playing pretty well. The defense is good enough to keep them competitive, I think, here on out for the rest of the way. But I think once they get into the playoffs, and I think that's when we're talking about Jimmy G possibly returning, they're going to need a veteran quarterback, someone like Jimmy G to get them some wins.
Yeah, and I think they drafted Purdy, and I think that's how you pronounce it, Purdy. I might be massacring the name. And immediately I saw a narrative so quickly. It wasn't even like, I don't think he even played like a single series, and everybody was already applauded. Like they were like, "Oh, Mr. Relevant is irrelevant again," or irrelevant, and now he's relevant again. It was like all the narrative was like trying to make San Francisco fans feel good.
Well, it's tough for any quarterback to come in the middle of a game, especially, right? You're not like out there practicing with the ones or anything. So in the middle of the game, someone gets hurt, you got to come in and step up, especially in that position. You got to give them some applause for, doing pretty well in that game.
What I think what's happening is that team is so stacked. Where they talk about defense, where they talk about offense, where they talk about special teams, whatever. It's so stacked that all you need is somebody who won't turn the ball over, and that's why that team was perfect for Jimmy G, because he seldomly turns the ball over, and when he does, it's very rare. So, I mean, good for 49ers fans. I don't know. I feel like either Jimmy G there or that rookie there, they were still going to go far in the playoffs. Do you still think that they can win it all? Because I heard some people say that they can win it all.
No. I don't see them getting back to the Super Bowl. I think their defense is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't see them coming out of the NFC at all. I think Philadelphia is just too good. I think even some of the other teams without Jimmy will give them a challenge in the playoffs. So, no, I don't think... I think they're good, and obviously I think they're much better with Jimmy versus like Trey Lance. But no, they're not a Super Bowl team to me.
The other news: Tennessee fired their GM. They've had enough. Was he a good GM or a bad GM?
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, I can think of a lot of his draft picks that he hit on. I can think of some moves. I guess we saw some moves that he may have missed on. You were talking about them trading AJ Brown, maybe that being the last straw. I don't know. Obviously they feel like they need to head in a different direction, and something about the roster, even though I think they're constructed pretty well to their identity, right? But I don't know.
Yeah, because I think he was. I mean, you have Mike Vrabel as your coach, right? And he was building the roster around players that Mike Vrabel wanted. I don't see this firing. I know they get a new field, a new stadium pretty soon, but I didn't see the point in firing unless they really, really bump heads on that AJ Brown pick.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So anything else you want to talk about in the news?
No, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about the OBJ to Dallas because it's a rumor. We still don't know. I know he's went to a basketball game with a bunch of Dallas players, but
yeah, and I saw today, I guess, that his recovery has not really been that smooth, so it's going to take a little bit longer for him to be ready to play. Anyways,
but if he goes to Dallas, do you think the New York Giants fans are going to burn his jersey?
Haven't they already?
I don't know, because it seems like they were fine with him going to LA, but now that he's talking about the Dallas, I'm hearing another rumbling that this might ruin his legacy in New York. But I was like, I don't know if he had a legacy.
What was his legacy? One catch?
Yeah. Did he win a Super Bowl? I don't think he did.
No, one spectacular grab, I guess.
What's the legacy?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's just a wide receiver. I don't know what the legacy is. All right, let's do our review to Week 13, because let's start with the loser. And I feel like these games that the Pats play on Thursday, they're just not good. I think they're 0-4 in primetime games. For some reason, the NFL gave them back-to-back Thursday night games. You picked them to lose this game 24-17 for Buffalo. I knew in my mind that Buffalo was going to beat them, but in my heart, I was like, you know what? Let me pick New England because it's that home game. Maybe they'll get fired up, but that did not happen. So the final score was 24-10. Ron, you and I watched this game together. we're not sponsored by any means by Buffalo Wild Wings, but I'd say they have a decent, sports bar atmosphere there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of, good television, decent food.
The food is decent. The service was good.
Yeah, it was okay.
Post pandemic, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, Ron, in your estimation, what happened in this game?
The Buffalo Bills are a better team, I think, and I think it showed. I think there's still a lot of questions about the Patriots and their offense. They look terrible. I think this guy, Mac Jones, took a lot of heat for how he played, but I think for me, it was the play calling more than anything else that was atrocious, and they couldn't get anything going at all, the Patriots. And at no point, did I think that Buffalo was in control or was going to lose control of the game.
Well, I was excited about the first quarter because we actually had the lead 7-3, and then after that it was all downhill. You can even tell we couldn't stop Josh Allen. I think there was a couple of punts by Buffalo Yee for the Patriots for that, but so you mentioned the offense looked horrible. From the first play, they fumbled the ball. They didn't even know what the first play of the game was going to be. I mean, that is not a Belichick team. That's like something you see out of the Jaguars, something you see out of Houston. I don't know if this is, like a, what'd you say, like a vision, like into the future, what's Patriots team is going to be like, but it was just bad from the beginning.
So did you think Stevenson, he's the one who fumbled, right? Because I'm trying to think back now how they used him. He only got 10 carries. Is it because they didn't trust him running the ball, or what goes into the decision making to throw 36 times and only give him 10 carries?
I think that they, it's a whole thing where, okay, we're going to punish you because we don't trust you. And I feel like, before I was like, yeah, that's a Belichick way. But then I'm like, that's your best player. That's basically it. It's no one else.
Yeah.
It's just him.
Exactly.
So it's like, why punish him? Just keep using him. So, and then they try to do that, quick release with Mac Jones, which obviously didn't work.
They look like the Steelers. The short passes, quick releases, like you said, and pray that someone makes a play after that. That doesn't work. That hadn't worked, hasn't worked for the Steelers first part of the season. You got to be able to get the ball downfield. Can't keep throwing, 5 yards a throw. You got to make some big plays, and that's what I think was missing. When you add on like some of the mental errors and mistakes, like with the fumbles and stuff like that. And then Josh Allen is just a beast. He, doesn't matter what the play is on third down, like he can just make the perfect throw or scramble and run you over. He's just the perfect player, at the quarterback position. I don't think you can do any better in terms of what he can do to you with his arms and his legs.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely still my MVP pick or my offensive player of the year pick, because I think without Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills are just an average team. I don't know if that defense, they faced a bad offense. That's why you see the scoreboard only 10 points. I don't think that we were, Buffalo Bills defense was so good. It was Patriots offense was so bad, so bad. So it's just a loss. Patriots at 6-6, back to 500, back to the basement, and we'll talk about whether or not this team can make the playoffs. But again, we got Arizona, we got Raiders the next two games. It's gonna pretty much determine whether or not they make the playoffs. This game, good riddance with Thursday night games. Good riddance with like any primetime game, because we all know they moved the Sunday night game to flex them. So it's just there's so many things going on with this team, and Bill Belichick is just like, it is what it is.
2 more years. Let me get the 20 more wins.
Yep. He does not care. He's just like, hey, I'm just gonna put something out there, and whether or not we win or not, or make mistake, who cares? I get my Tony win. The other game that we want to talk about is the Steelers, who they play this week.
We played Atlanta.
And it was actually closer than we thought, right? So the final score was 19-16. But Ron, you thought that Pittsburgh would put 27 points. I thought that they were going to put 24 points. What happened in this game? Why only 19 points?
Well, they could have put up 20-something points. Fitzpatrick decided to, when he picked the ball off, could have ran it back. And he stepped out of bounds instead, which is, the right thing to do. But offensively, they played really well. They just didn't close. They had some really good drives, got into field goal range, and then it would stall. So they had to settle for a lot of field goals. They're gonna have to learn how to close out, games, close out their drives. I think they had 5 drives that were 9 minutes or longer. So offensively, things clicked, and then defensively, I think we did an okay job stopping the run. Mariota is not a good quarterback anymore. I'm surprised they didn't bench him at any point during the game or during the season. But at the end of the game, it was Tomlin making a decision to punt at the end and trusting his defense to stop them from scoring, and that's exactly what happened. And Pittsburgh won, so he walked away with a win, even though it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Pickett didn't impress anybody with his numbers. He just didn't turn the ball over. But then both teams were over 100 yards rushing, so you knew that they were going to shorten the game. It was hope you make the mistake first, and Mariota obviously made a mistake.
Yeah. Play calling has been much better these last 3 games. I got to give Matt Canada credit. Najee has been, he missed part of last week's game. He came in questionable this game, and he looked like the best he's looked all season. He ran really hard.
Yeah, so now the team is 5-7, and we'll talk about if that is enough for them to sneak in at the 5-7 record. Atlanta, I know that the Bucs won last night, but Atlanta, they're not out of it yet, right?
Mathematically, no.
No. So they can still actually make the playoffs. One of these teams in the NFC South is going to host a playoff game. That's incredible, unbelievable. So the other game which happened last night was the GOAT, the last second winning the game, which we both picked the Tampa Bay should have won. You won with 21 points, I won with 20 points. They only scored 17. Ron, are the Bucs back?
No, they're not. You got to do better than putting up 17, in a game that you should win. You got to do better than that. And for the most part, I think they were stuck on 3 points, right? Most of the game. So, all the way into they scored 3 in the first quarter, then they scored again.
Fourth quarter, they scored 14 points, yeah.
So, that offense has issues still. So they just look like, to me, a bunch of old guys. I don't know how else to put it. When you got Julio Jones out there, an injured Mike Evans out there, hobbling Chris Godwin to a certain extent. They're Tom Brady. It's an old team trying to make it, and every week's going to be a struggle. So, you're playing against the Saints, who are now 4-9 with Andy Dalton. You should be able to put them away pretty easily, and they didn't do that at all.
So the Bucs record now is 6-6. They lead that division, the NFC South. When we just talked about Atlanta, still in it. The Saints are kind of in it, and it's like Carolina. I think they have 4 wins, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of in it. So are the Bucks gonna win this division?
I don't know. I don't know just yet. I think they can. I don't know if you want to get into it now with predictions for these teams. But you know, I think they, even whether they get in or not, they're not a team that's can make a run in the playoffs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in the end when we do the predictions. Our upset specials. Ron, you went with Philly at Tennessee. You thought Tennessee was gonna win.
Boy, was I wrong.
Tennessee got blown out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch much of this game, but what happened? Why did Tennessee play so bad?
I have no idea. I didn't watch most of it at all either. But they got dump trucked apparently. So Jalen Hurts, man, for MVP. What else can I say? Dude's balling out.
Yeah, you know, I thought it depends on where Mahomes, what the Chiefs' record is at the end. I think they have 2 losses, but I think Philadelphia only has 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, I mean, Hurts and Mahomes, those are the 2 guys that right now are, you know, I don't know what the odds are, but you can actually say Hurts might get the MVP.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your team has 1 loss. You know, this game is supposed to be a close game. You throw 3 touchdowns, 380 yards passing. Can't be any questions at this point about his arm talent. And he hardly ran, and that's what he's been. You know, he was killing people running the ball. He didn't really run this game at all. So he's beating you with his arms and his legs.
Yeah, I would say that Hurts might even get offensive player of the year. I don't know. He's just doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
My pick, I initially, when I made this upset special, I thought the Miami was favored when I made this pick, but San Francisco was the one that was actually favored. So I picked San Francisco to win. Obviously, they routed Miami 33-17, and it was like this old Tua appeared momentarily, and now we can put to bed all the MVP talks from all those Miami reporters, all those Miami newspapers that had Tua as a second coming for some reason.
Yeah.
When we know that the real Tua was going to show up for this game.
Yeah, he didn't play a good game, and I don't want to like belittle what he's done the entire season. He's been great, right, the whole season, but he didn't have a good game. He was very accurate at all. He missed some throws badly. And I don't know what, you know, San Francisco was doing to put that much pressure on him, but he looked like a shell of himself out there.
I mean, they sacked him 3 times. He turned the ball over twice via interceptions. It was just the Tua that we know and love, as opposed to the Tua who's, you know, breaking records left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to your upset special. Ron, you had Carolina at Seattle. 3.5 favored Seattle. 43.5 over and under. What's your prediction?
I got Carolina. I don't feel any confidence in this at all, but this was tough. A tough week for trying to find an upset with any of these teams that are 3 points or greater. So I got Carolina winning by a miracle, 23-20 against Seattle, team that is struggling a little bit.
Yeah,
recently.
I think they lost 2 losses in a row now.
Yeah, not running the ball well. Gino is he's playing okay, but
Walker, I think, is hurt.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was very, very difficult finding an underdog with 3.5 points, but I'm going with Jacksonville at Tennessee. I won with them. It's 41.5 over and under. 3.5 points. 24-7, 24-13. I think that Jacksonville pulls this one off. I think Tennessee, with the firing of the GM, they might be in a little bit of influx. So I think the Jaguars can steal this one. I'm not very confident, but I think they can win this one.
Yeah, that was the other game I was looking at. It was really a toss between these two, and I just went with Carolina. figuring that Carolina, Dalton didn't play too poorly. Not Dalton, Darnold didn't play too poorly this past week, and Seattle, on the other hand, has been struggling a little bit. So that's why I went with the Carolina game.
All right, so Ron, let's talk about our playoff hopes, and let's go with the Bucks. They're currently at 6-6 and top of the division. Do you think they can make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think out of all of our teams, they probably they got the best chance, right? So just looking at their schedule, you mentioned they're top of their division right now, even though they're at 500. They got the 49ers, tough game, and then they got the Bengals. That's another tough game. Cardinals, Panthers, and then finishing the season with the Falcons. So let's say they only win 2 out of those 5 games. That'll put them to
8-9.
8-9, right? The team behind them, the Falcons, are at 5-8 right now. So for them to get to 8 wins, they'd have to win 3 more. So I think the Bucks are going to get in. It might be 8-9, but they'll be in.
Yeah, I think that their schedule, they can beat Carolina, and I think that they can beat the Falcons, and I think that they can beat Arizona. I think that they'll probably get in. They're not going to have a very good record, might be 8 wins, 9 wins, but I think that they'll get in. No worries on that front. The next team is the Patriots. They're 6-6 currently. Ron, do you think they can make the playoffs?
This is where it gets dicey for all the teams, not just the Patriots, the Steelers, the Browns, the Chargers. There's a lot of teams that are in the hunt right now, if you will. And looking at the Patriots schedule, you got the Cardinals. It's a critical week. Cardinals, the Raiders. It's going to be a tough out. Bengals, obviously playing well. Dolphins, and then Bills. That's a tough stretch. At the same time, I can tell you in our division, the Steelers division, we all got to play each other. We still got the Ravens twice. I think Cincinnati has the Browns twice or the Ravens twice. One of those teams they haven't played yet either. So I think we're all going to be beating each other up. Can you make the playoffs? Yes. What's my prediction or how confident? I would give you guys a 55% chance of making the playoffs.
So you would say like a 5 or 6 to make the playoffs?
Yeah, 5 or 6 out of 10 to make the playoffs. And this is me. I looked at the Chargers have a tough schedule too. So they gotta keep playing. And then who's the other team? The Jets. I mean, Jets. You got.
I mean, the Jets, as right now, they're in, and we don't play them at all for the remaining of the season. I think they, Miami and the Jets are the 2 teams that I think that we have to worry about. They're in a division. I think that the Bengals can win, but can't get rid of Baltimore. I think that they're hot. I think the Baltimore is, descending. So I think that,
Here's the Jets' schedule. And this is why I don't think they're a lock, even though they're at 7 wins right now and they're in right now. They got the Bills. I think we all think they're going to lose that, right? They got the Lions. Lions put up like 40 points. They're a team that can score. So then they got the Jags, got the Seahawks, and then they finish with the Dolphins. So they may split that and go 9-7. They may go.
Even if they split that, I think they're in.
Yeah, but if they go 1-3, with Mike White, who,
Actually, I was watching that game that they lost to the Vikings, and Mike White had a horrible first half, but in the second half, I don't know what Robert Saleh told them, but they played hard. They played to win.
Yeah, they're going to play hard for him.
Yeah, they should have won that game. I'm very happy that they didn't, but they played hard for him, and I think this Jets team is for real.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And then you got the Titans at 7-5, but they're winning their division. They'll make it easily. This is the Chargers at 6-6. That's the other team. They got the Dolphins, the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. So they finished up pretty easy with the Rams and Broncos, but they still got Dolphins, Titans, and maybe the Colts. So maybe they get 3 wins out of that. Maybe they get 2. We'll see. But it's up in the air. That fight for the 6th and 7th spot is up in the air. I think the first 5 teams, though, are pretty much set. I would think, right? No one's gonna fall.
Yeah.
The Ravens aren't gonna like fall on their flat in their face.
Well, if they lose against Pittsburgh or they lose against the Bengals, then
But
they
they're
were-
at 8 wins right now, so really it's just 1 win, and they're probably,
they're probably in. But then you can say that against with the Bengals too.
well, yeah. But division, when you look at the division record, I think Bengals are what in the division right now, 1-3. That's going to be their problem.
That's gonna be a downfall. Yeah, it's really, really tight in the AFC, and I think that there's margin for error when you talk about the NFC, but when you talk about the AFC, they're so close together. I mean, just look about what happened to the Patriots. They got flexed out because the Commanders and the Giants are basically playing for. I think that they're both going to make the playoffs. Because at 7-5, the next best record you're talking about is the Lions at 5-7. So I mean, I think that they'll make the playoffs. I think the Seahawks will make the playoffs as a wild card, and I think the top 4 teams are pretty much set, except for Tampa Bay. That's the only one that we're not sure what's going to happen. But I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. So out of the 3, Bucks, Pats, and Steelers, who are for sure gonna make the playoff?
I think the Bucks for sure are getting in. I think they would have to fall off a cliff because that division is so poor that they're gonna make it in. And then I think in the AFC, it's going to be down. I don't think Miami's going to choke at this point. I don't think Baltimore's going to choke at this point, even with Lamar hurt. So I think it's, for that 7th spot, you're looking at, there's a bunch of teams, right? The Jets, Patriots, Chargers, Raiders, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, that are all in it really for, 1 spot. And we all play each other at this point. I would think, looking at the schedule, if I was just looking at all of these schedules, I would think, who did I say? Who was I talking about before? Was it the Chargers that had the easiest schedule left?
Yeah, they have the easiest schedule.
So maybe they can make it work. But I'll be honest with you. If we win this, if the Steelers win this week, we got Carolina next. That should be a win. Now you're talking, we're right back at 500 at 7-7. So we'll be in, at 7-7 and in pretty good shape. We'll have the Raiders. That's a tough game, and then the Ravens again, which is basically do or die, and then finishing with Cleveland. To me, it's a tough road. If I was to say my prediction, I would say honestly, both the Patriots and the Steelers miss the playoffs, and somebody else makes it, like the Chargers or someone else.
I don't want to say that the Patriots and the Steelers are going to miss the playoffs, because I think basically, I know this sounds very cliche, but they basically have the fate in their hands. They just have to win these games. Basically, it comes down to, and I think that this could have been avoided if the Patriots beat the Vikings, or if the Patriots,
If the Steelers beat the Jets, we're up by like 10, I think, and lost that game.
They don't have anyone to blame for themselves, and I think that for some reason, because the Chargers and Jets lost, it's almost like they give them a second chance, third chance, fourth chance. I don't know how many chances you can have, in this one season to make the playoffs. But, let's talk about them making the playoffs. And then we can talk about whether or not they can make it far in the playoffs.
Well, the way I'm looking at it, honestly, I don't think it's I could talk for the Steelers. Until you get past this week, the Ravens, I don't think it's realistic. If you beat the Ravens, like I said, and get to 6-7, now you have really, because the next game should be a gimme game with Carolina. It should be, right? So if you win that game, you're 7-7. You're right back in it. So,
well, this is what I mean is like the Steelers, they have a tougher game coming up than I would say the Patriots have a tougher game coming up. If I was to say choose between, do you want to play Arizona? Or do you want to play Baltimore? I would pick Arizona because, Kingsbury, who knows what's going on over there. So It's like, I would definitely pick Arizona. So beating Arizona, you saying the Patriots, hey, we are still in this. We just beat the Cardinals. But the flip side, if you beat Baltimore, is basically saying the Steelers are alive. We want part of this playoff picture. So it's, again, if Patriots have the ball, no way that they're going to make it. There's no way that they're beating the Raiders. There's no way they're beating the Bengals. But if they beat the Cardinals, there's some life there. And I think that with the Steelers, you beat the Baltimore, you're alive. Then you get Carolina, you beat them, then you're really alive. So it's, both teams kind of hold their fate as far as making it in the playoffs.
Absolutely. That's how it should be, right? That's how it should be.
Yeah, the only difference is one is being coached by a person who doesn't care at all. All cares about is winning, and the other one is being coached by a person that, basically, he's a loyalist. Basically, he's not gonna fire Matt Canada until the season's over. So, yeah, it's just, again, it comes down to the coaching. The coaching is, imperative in whether or not you make it. So, anything that you want to share? Because I know yesterday was your birthday. So how did you spend your birthday?
Man, I did absolutely nothing, and I kind of enjoyed it. So I sat home, spent about an hour and a half or two in front of the TV watching Netflix. Really crappy show. Probably gave it like 3 episodes before I finally called it quits. But I did that for a little bit, and got up, went to the barber, got a shave, a little bit, massage and stuff like that. So I treated myself a little bit. And then we went out for ice cream, which was really good. So it was, it was a laid back day. I enjoyed it. I needed, to rest and relax. I actually got to take a nap too. First time in a long time I got to actually take a nap. It was good. It was perfect. Perfect day.
And the same thing, we're not sponsored by White Rabbit, but their desserts are phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Highly recommend it. And now you're like a year older. Do you feel wiser? Do you feel more mature?
I feel a year older. So yeah, I woke up with back pains, my knees cracking, and my hair's grayer, I guess. But life is good. I'm alive. The Steelers are still in it. We're still in the football season. It's going to come to an end at some point, but I'm enjoying it right now.
Well, yeah, happy belated birthday.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to say that I'm looking forward finally to the Sunday games where we're not playing on Thursday. We're not playing on prime time. So again, if we stay under the radar, maybe the Patriots will win against Arizona.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
You didn't, I'll throw this in there. You didn't watch any college football throughout the season. We got our 4 teams now in the playoffs. I'm sure you can give 2 shits about the 4 teams, but I can tell you Alabama's not in it, which is good, good for me, not for them, but it's good to have a year with Alabama not being in the Final Four.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, if you come to me and you say, I attended Alabama, I'm an Alabama alumni, I cheer for Alabama, I go to the football games, then, I'll listen. I'll be like, oh, yeah, you went to Alabama. Wow, yeah, go Red Tie, yeah, Crimson Tide, whatever. But, we live in, like, SEC country, where, even if you don't go to that school, you still cheer for them. I will never understand that. If you come to me and say, hey, did you hear that UMass has a ranking of number 1? Oh, my ears perk up. I'm like, oh, we do? Oh, we have a good basketball team? But it's like you see these people down here and they love college football, but then you were like, oh, did you go to college? No. Oh, did you know somebody that went there? No. They just cheer for the team, and I'll never, ever understand that. Maybe it's a Southern thing where, like, people just go crazy over a team, especially University of Miami. That's a private school. Did you go there? No.
I think Florida's worse.
Florida is even...
Florida fans here is just unbelievable.
I know we're in Central Florida, so I know that, it's a given, but yeah, needless to say, what I'm trying to say is like, no, I did not watch nothing, not even a lick of college football. The only thing that I'm interested in is during the draft, I'll watch the highlights and I'll be like, who the Patriots pick? Oh, let me see the highlights. Oh, he did pretty good against Northwestern Chattanooga, Tennessee State. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that school has tons of number 1s in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just like playing in college, not professional. No, it's not. So
no, it's not. But I'm really into it. I do the scouting, like, for the games I do watch. And, I've talked to you about it. I'm like, you got to watch this kid play. He's going to be really good. I hope the Steelers get him. Or, and I'll mention stuff too throughout the draft. I really wish we got the guy who went to the Rams instead or whatever. I do pay attention to it because you can watch teams and certain players, regardless of who they play, and you can see whether they're talented or not and how talented they are. I think quarterback, though, is a little bit tougher to gauge because you can go to a smaller school like this guy did and, be good, but it doesn't mean anything because you're playing crappy competition. Whereas other positions, if you ball out, regardless of who you play, you're doing your thing. It can materialize in the NFL. So I enjoy college sports, and I'm glad we're down to the Final Four in the playoffs and stuff. I'll be watching it for sure.
Well, I'm glad.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Shut Your Mouth Podcast at gmail.com. That's ShutYMPodcast at gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.